Can I just say I'm done? I'm done with every single women's magazine, influencer, TV show, movie, constantly pushing the exact same propaganda that anything that gives you greater purpose is bad for you. British Vogue has run a ridiculous new piece saying boyfriends are cringy now, and also Republican coded, by the way, which of course is escalating into insane fear-mongering and propaganda, trying to convince you women that you will literally die if you want to give birth to a child. It's insane, but it's designed to make you miserable. Let's unpack it today on the Isabel Brown Show. The interwebs are ablaze with a hot new debate after British Vogue published a wild opinion piece just a few days ago. Headline: Is having a boyfriend embarrassing now? Women from across the political spectrum, across Western civilization, and every corner of the internet are all weighing in now on whether or not you are less of a woman, I guess, if you have a boyfriend and flaunt his existence on the internet. It seems that the only way to be a cool girl in 2025 and beyond is to be single, is to be unattached, is to just live your best life, girl. And there is nothing more cringy, or what did we used to say in the Gen Z slang, chuggy? There's nothing worse for your social status than having a boyfriend. They start this article. Again, this was published on October 29th in British Vogue with this lovely sentiment. If someone so much as says my boyf on social media, they're muted. There's nothing I hate more than following someone for fun, only for their content to become my boyfriendified suddenly. This is probably because for so long, it felt like we were living in what one of my favorite Substackers calls boyfriend land, a world where women's online identities centered around the lives of their partners, a situation rarely seen reversed. I guess they haven't seen my husband's Instagram account that literally just reads like an Isabel Brown fan account. It does happen in the reverse, but okay, Vogue. Women were rewarded for their ability to find and keep a man with elevated social status and praise. It became even more suffocating, that's a word of choice, when this could be leveraged on social media for engagement. Not this type of engagement, but farming for engagement, for clicks. And if you were serious enough, financial gain. Seriously? That's the only takeaway we're going to have from women posting about their boyfriends on the internet? That clearly they're just scapegoating their supposed happiness that can't possibly be real because they're trying to make a bunch of money as a social media influencer and get 8 million followers from having a boyfriend. What are we doing, honestly? This article continues with all kinds of insane upside down lapses of logic, but this part was really interesting to me. There was an overwhelming sense, this author writes, from single and partnered women alike, that regardless of the relationship, being with a man, as this woman has surveyed all of her followers, being with a man was an almost guilty thing to do. You are guilty of selling out womanhood for being partnered with a man. They quote the Delusional Diaries podcast, fronted by two New York-based influencers, Hallie and Jazz. They discuss whether having a boyfriend is lame now. Here's the quote. Why does having a boyfriend feel Republican? Boyfriends are out of style. They won't come back in until they start acting right, said one comment with thousands of likes. In essence, having a boyfriend typically takes hits on a woman's aura. As one commenter claimed. Funnily enough, both of these hosts have partners. Interesting. Which is something I often see online. Even partnered women, aka non-single women, will lament men and lament heterosexuality. partly in solidarity with other women. Solidarity, girls, men suck. But also because it is now fundamentally uncool to be a boyfriend girl. Honestly, I don't know what planet these people are living on, because I don't see anywhere in society where it is uncool to be in love with your best friend, to be happy, to just genuinely enjoy your life with your significant other and the love of your life. But she cites a really interesting phenomenon here that I think is interesting for us to hone in on here for a second. That these podcast hosts who are trashing men, dragging them through the mud, saying that it is so uncool to be married or so uncool to have a boyfriend, men destroy the aura of women. It is Republican coded, as if that's a diss, but okay. Republican coded to have a boyfriend in 2025. Both of these women feeding into this narrative have boyfriends or husbands. It reminds me freakishly of the call her daddy phenomenon, where Alex Cooper has built her entire platform on the idea of telling women that the only way to be empowered, the only way to be happy, the only way to be a liberated woman in 2025 and previously for many years before this on her show is to cheat on your boyfriend, to sleep around with as many people as possible, to never let yourself get locked down. Men are so cringe. Men destroy your aura. Men are the enemy. And yet she's married to an amazing young man. She has a beautiful, thriving, healthy, monogamous marriage. She bought into commitment and is clearly joyfully happy, and I'm happy for her, for this reality. So it's good enough for the podcast hosts. It's good enough for the journalists. It's good enough for the influencers. It's just not good enough for you. It's cringy for you to be happy and in love. It destroys your aura for you to have a boyfriend. But everybody screaming at you that this is somehow bad for you to be genuinely happy and joyful and settled down with someone and committing to them, rather than waiting around for some text from a guy named Josh at 2 a.m., you up, and calling that romance. Yeah, that's not good enough for you, just for us. What really scares me is not the fact that British Vogue ran this headline and this article, because frankly, Vogue has been on one for the last several years, and they, like every other women's magazine, try reading Cosmo, by the way, just as a little side note, they have been hell-bent on pushing the exact same supposedly pro-woman talking points and propaganda for years and years and years and years upon women. Sleep around, don't settle down, download every dating app known to man, marriage will destroy you, kids will destroy you. I get it. It's the media. They do stuff like this all the time. What really scares me are the comments in response to this article on social media, and how many thousands upon thousands of women have bought into this exact same lie because it's what they have been fed, because they have listened to the, it's not good enough for you. We're going to do it, but it's not good enough for you phenomenon from the Alex Cooper call her daddies of the world, from this, I want to quote this article correctly, from the Delusional Diaries podcast hosts, from British Vogue, from every one of their favorite social media influencers, and more. When British Vogue posted this headline on TikTok, the comments were astounding to me. Almost laughable, and you should laugh. Like, it's genuinely ridiculous that we have arrived here in November of 2025. But people, like, actually mean this stuff. Here you go. India Elizabeth. The comment, "It feels Republican to have a boyfriend," feels so accurate. 101,000 likes on this comment on TikTok. Mommy Milkers, nice, says dating is a humiliation ritual for a lot of women. 133,000 likes on this comment. Katarina says being able to live alone and unpartnered is unquestionably a flex today. A flex to who? To Vogue? Vogue doesn't care about you. A flex to your favorite podcast host? These people don't know you. They're not wanting the best for your life. Jeez Louise. Here we go. This one's good. G says, every boyfriend I've ever had has ultimately embarrassed me. I don't think that's an indictment on the idea or institution of boyfriends so much as it may be an indictment on the men that you are dating. And as someone who dated several people before I ever met my husband, maybe it's time for a good reality check, look in the mirror, self-to-self moment with yourself to analyze who you keep allowing into your life and into your most personal, intimate relationships. Blanche Howard says it meaning having a boyfriend, just doesn't fit my brand, IDK. Almost 42,000 likes on that comment, because our brands as women and who we present ourselves to be online is far more important than our offline, off-screen, most intimate, personal relationships. Or this one from E, 5 days ago. Having a boyfriend is spiritually Israeli. Crying face emoji. 22,000 likes on that comment. Women are genuinely buying into this stuff. And that's the part that I think speaks volumes about how far our society has actually gone. These are no longer just crazy headlines. These are no longer just influencers making hundreds of thousands upon millions of dollars to tell you the same scripted talking points by the same people writing this stuff on their podcasts or on their Instagram or on their TikTok accounts. This is so much more than a politician telling you that women's liberation has to come at the expense of the family, that your only way to be liberated or free as a woman or an equal member of society is to be all in on, abortion through all 9 months of pregnancy, rather than investing in a family and building a legacy for yourself that's bigger than yourself. Now it is the regular people, the ordinary people, the average person that is buying into this and making their entire personality about it. And we are brainwashing an entire generation of young women in the process to believe lies about themselves, about the idea of committing to something bigger than themselves, about families, and about men in general. And it shows. It shows in the comments that we're leaving online, the conversations we're having on college campuses. It shows in our political decisions as young women in this country. It shows in our general happiness. Young women today are facing a greater mental health crisis than any generation of young people in modern history, maybe even world history. And I think so much of that has to do with the fact that we are allowing, encouraging, buying into, and not apologizing for lies being sold to women as empowerment. There's a clip that's recirculating, going pretty viral in the wake of Charlie Kirk's death these last 8 weeks or so, where he's on campus at the University of Tennessee and having this very spicy back and forth exchange with one particular young woman about abortion. You guys may have seen this clip a lot in the last several weeks, as I have on TikTok in particular. But instead of focusing on the abortion side of things, I want you to listen to the latter half of this conversation. It's funny. It's a little spicy. I get it. It's an own somebody moment. But I think it speaks volumes to the undertow of where young women are at in America today. Listen to this.
If I just happen to be pregnant.
Oh, you don't happen to get pregnant. It's not like getting COVID.
I know how it works. I know how it works.
You don't get the flu.
I know.
How about this? You take responsibility for your orgasms and stop eliminating people smaller than you.
So you're saying I should carry a baby and ruin my collegiate life?
How about this? Instead of saying ruin, first of all, babies are a blessing. Stop talking at them as if they're some sort of annoyance.
I will have to drop out of college.
Number two, if you play certain games, you win certain prizes. If you're going to go have sex...
So you're saying I should drop out of college to support my child and supporting my life?
I'm saying if you're going to engage in coitus, in the practice of having children, you might end up with a baby. So know that. And guess what? You don't need to have sex before you get married. It's not like showering. It's not like eating.
Are you married?
Yes, with 2 beautiful children.
Wow, good for you.
I could tell you're not married.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
So a lot to unpack there. Obviously, some very funny back and forth moments. This video has been clipped 8 million times in the last 8 weeks or so. And it really is one of my favorite Charlie moments in the last couple of months, because I think it speaks so lightheartedly to how much people have bought into these lies, right? It's not just about a boyfriend ruins my brand or ruins my aura. This type of propaganda geared towards young women has made us fear our most basic biology. It's made us terrified that our lives are going to be ruined if we even remotely think about the idea of marriage and children, that a family is systematically designed to hold you back and ruin your entire existence. You heard some specific points being made by this young woman here. So you're saying if I happen to get pregnant, okay, point one, we are convincing an entire generation of women that pregnancy is like a disease that you randomly stumble upon and comes to you, happens to you, rather than something that you joyfully enter into. So he has to correct that. She then says, if I happen to get pregnant, you're telling me I have to drop out of college, that I'm going to ruin my life. I'm going to have a destroyed education. Since when is that the case? I have several friends who were pregnant in college. There are several people in my graduate program who are parents of children of all ages and multiple kids running around all the time. I am in college for my master's degree right now with a baby, and it is very manageable and very doable. So I don't know where we have convinced women that your education is over if you want to have children, if your job is over if you want to have children, if your personal life is over if you want to have children. But we believe this. We believe this so strongly that we react in anger and retribution and like a defensive fear the minute someone like Charlie Kirk suggests otherwise. And then she tries to own him at the end saying, are you even married? Like, oh, this horrible, childless, unmarried man is trying to tell me all of this stuff. And he says, of course I'm married. It is because I am married that I want more for you than these lies that you have bought into. Because your life is more meaningful than the hollow, empty shell of everything that you have been indoctrinated to believe. Period. Full stop. This type of propaganda, the boyfriends are so cringy and lame now thing, escalates powerfully. And because of it, we have created an entire generation of women who have been successfully programmed by our culture into believing that the only way to live our best life is to embrace radical selfishness. In preparing today's episode, I had a light bulb moment remembering a video that had gone really viral on TikTok in January that I had reacted to back then, of a day in the life of a selfish woman. This type of propaganda, these Vogue articles, these news headlines, these influencers and podcasts telling you what it really means to be a true woman today, create this type of woman. And this is the archetype of everything that they are fighting for. Listen to this.
Day in the life of a selfish woman. I'm 32 years old with no desire to get married or have children, and people often ask me if I met the right person, would I change my mind? The answer is no, I won't. Not wanting to be a mother has less to do with finding the right person than it does living a life free from avoidable stress. Although the thought of trying to co-parent with a man where I have to shoulder the majority of the emotional and physical labor sounds like a nightmare. No one is immune to life's challenges, but at 32, I finally feel like I'm at a place where I can do what I want, when I want, without answering to anyone, and it feels fucking awesome. Having a child would completely change that, and for what? Being a mother is really hard, and I don't want to work hard. The idea of hard work has been glamorized by the institutions and people, mainly men, that benefit from a woman's labor the most, so I'll gladly take the easy way out if it means I don't have to stress about raising a child in a broken system that only rewards the smallest subset of the population if they fit neatly into a mold. And even then, what's really the reward? Most people don't have the privilege of self-actualization because they're forced to live paycheck to paycheck, grinding away at unfulfilling jobs for just a few weeks of freedom a year, if they're lucky. If I ever do choose to partner again, that person will share the sentiment that being a selfish woman isn't a flaw. It's a conscious rejection of the societal expectation that women must sacrifice themselves for others to be worthy or valuable, and being selfish is a wonderful thing a woman can be.
Being selfish is a wonderful thing a woman can be. Being selfish is not a flaw. It's a hallmark trait of liberation, of empowerment, of freedom. I just don't want to work hard. Being a mom is really hard. I just don't really want to work hard, frankly. How unbelievably shallow and pathetic. And I'm the queen of saying that, by the way, not everything is demonic. Ooh, I dressed up as Harry Potter for Halloween. Ooh, not everything is demonic, people. You need to calm down. This is a demonic lie. The idea that, well, my life's about me and I just want to be selfish. Being a selfish thing is a really beautiful thing, a wonderful thing, a spectacular thing that a woman can do. Actually, no. Making yourself the god of your own life is literally the hallmark lie from Satan. That everything is about you. That everything can fall by the wayside except you. It's disgusting. It is actually demonic. And it is the most perversive lie that I am seeing impact young women from across the political spectrum, from across culture in multiple countries, destroying the West right now as we speak. There is nothing empowering or truly joyful. You might be temporarily happy, but truly joyful or purpose-driven about that type of lifestyle. The really, really scary part of all of this is how quickly this propaganda escalates into catastrophic societal effects. Catastrophic. Because it's not just, having a boyfriend is cringy. Eventually, when you start believing this propaganda, boyfriends aren't just cringy. They are so detrimental that men ruin your life. And they're the enemy that you must be fighting. And marriage holds you back. And if marriage holds you back, kids, of course, will hold you back and destroy your life, which is exactly how years ago, more than a decade ago, we got this Time magazine article that was a front page piece, a child-free life, cover of Time magazine. Interesting, by the way, to note that both of these people are white, smiling on a beach, joyfully experiencing their child-free DINK existence. Because this is what deserves to be on the cover of magazines. This is the hallmark summit of everything we're fighting for liberation in the West. And this is the type of propaganda that eventually makes women not just laissez-faire, whatever, hands off about the idea of having kids, but eventually genuinely afraid of our own bodies. While we're fighting for the truth for women, it is so important that we continue the fight for life as well. A recent Danish study found something that is deeply, deeply disturbing to me. Just 1 year after having an abortion, women are 50% more likely to need psychiatric treatment and 87% more likely to experience personality or behavioral disorders. These are not just statistics. They represent real women facing very real struggles as a result of all of the lies that culture has to tell them. That's why Preborn takes a dramatically different approach. When a woman walks through their doors of their clinics uncertain and afraid, she finds something that she may have never expected: genuine support. Through an ultrasound, she gets to meet her baby for the very first time, and suddenly what felt like a completely impossible situation begins to look a whole lot different. But Preborn doesn't just stop there. When a woman chooses life, they walk alongside her for up to 2 years, providing really practical hands-on help like maternity clothes and free diapers, ongoing counseling, and emotional support. It's care for the whole person, addressing her physical needs, her mental health, and her future. As you think about your year-end giving, please consider making the greatest investment you could ever make: the gift of life. If you pick up your phone and dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby, that's pound 250 BABY baby, or visit preborn.com/Isabel. All gifts are tax deductible, and Preborn is a 5-star rated charity. That's preborn.com/Isabel to make a difference for so many generations to come. Because we are constantly being told that the biggest thing to fear as a woman is seriously dating someone, committing to them through marriage, and of course, the crux of all of this, creating new life, women genuinely have begun to believe that pregnancy is beyond terrifying. And it's something that puts our very lives at risk, will even kill us. Guaranteed. So we have to take dramatic measures to prevent this ailment of pregnancy by any means possible. I heard so much of this, more than ever before in my lifetime, in the wake of Donald Trump's re-election last November, and I'm sure we all saw the videos all over social media of women saying the very first thing they need to do in Trump's America is to get their tubes tied because, God forbid, I fall pregnant and I don't have bodily autonomy over my own existence as a woman anymore. You guys might laugh thinking that sounds so genuinely insane. I saw thousands of these videos in January from women who truly do believe that they are going to die if they become pregnant in Trump's America. Here's just a few examples of what that looks like.
This morning, when I learned that Donald Trump had been elected president for a second time, The first thing I did was have a good long cry. The second thing I did was get on the phone and make a doctor's appointment for a surgical consultation to get my tubes tied. It's something that I've been thinking about doing for a really long time, and I feel like now is the appropriate time to do it before my option to choose that for myself and for my body is stripped away from me. So tomorrow morning at 10:30, I am going into my doctor's office and I am going to ask her to do the surgery. When I was making my appointment, the receptionist mentioned that she saw in my chart that I had been in about 8 months ago for a consultation, and she said, "What's bringing you back? What changed your mind?" And I said, "I feel like now is the right time." And she said, "I completely understand." If having your tubes tied is something that you have been thinking about doing for a while, or you feel like it's right for you, I highly urge you to make the appointment and go get it done before you no longer have the option to do so.
Ah, lovely. The very first thing I did was cry that Donald Trump was president of the United States. The second thing I did was schedule a surgical consultation to get my tubes tied because I am genuinely, deathly terrified of what happens if I would randomly fall pregnant in Donald Trump's America. She wasn't the only one. There are several other people saying they want to get their tubes tied in Trump's America. Listen to this. One mom, about a year ago exactly, was so outraged by Donald Trump's reelection that she forced her 17-year-old daughter to get an IUD and said that she would be spending the holidays alone with her immediate family, her 17-year-old child, who now is forced to get an IUD in Trump's America, and her son, her teenage son, who is nothing but a political target because of the fear-mongering of all of this propaganda.
Well, it's happening. The family wants to know what I'm doing for the holidays. I'm going to be here with my dogs and my daughter, who is of childbearing age and now has to get an IUD at 17 years old. And I'm going to be here with my son, who is a political target. And that should really tell you all you need to know about why I'm not going to be hanging out with y'all for the holidays. So fuck off. Choke on your turkey. Bye.
Again, these people have been conditioned to believe that pregnancy is something that just randomly happens to you and that you need to genuinely fear for your life. One woman recently, just a few days ago, ended up extrapolating this to the nth degree, comparing the deaths of pregnancy and the mortality rate of pregnancy to the mortality rate of riding on an airplane, which of course is like comparing gorillas to apples, like things that couldn't possibly have anything less in common. But she's trying to make a point here that being pregnant is far more dangerous than riding in an airplane. And we're scared when we get on planes. And when turbulence comes, we start praying because our fear gets the better of us. Why aren't we more afraid of childbirth? Well, because it happens to women and no one cares about women in society. Listen to her wildly flawed logic.
For anyone who says pregnancy is no big deal, do you know that a woman is over 65,000 times more likely to die giving birth than in a plane crash? So of every 1 million plane passengers, less than 1 person died in 2023. But of every 100k women giving birth, 197 died in 2023. That makes childbirth 65,666 times more deadly than flying. And to put this into perspective, you'd have to take a flight every 5 days for 900 years to face the same risk as one childbirth. But why do we fear flying more than pregnancy? Because in a plane crash, everyone dies. During childbirth, only women die. That's why they don't care.
Frankly, the only people who don't care about women in society, by the way, are the people lying to you to make you afraid on purpose of your own body and what it was designed to do. But again, the thing that really fears me here is not the fact that people are making these videos. I expect that at this point. It's the number of comments of women explaining just how much fear this has induced in their lives. This one woman says, "I have a massive fear of pregnancy." Cool Thing says, "I have feared pregnancy since I was 4 years old. I am planning on getting my tubes tied as soon as possible." Ellie says, "Just the thought of pregnancy makes me sick." This is actual body horror for me. Mika, I refuse to go through pregnancy. It is just too risky. I would love to have a kid, but I don't want to die and go through the pain. YK, you know? Since when have we genuinely believed that having children is going to kill us? I suppose it's a logical conclusion. A logical next step. A logical arrival on the propaganda train of your boyfriend makes you cringy, so don't date, because no one wants to be the boyfriend girl, to marriage holds you back and destroys your career, women, to children are such a burden and you just want to be selfish because the best thing that you can possibly be is selfish. But when all of those hollow, ridiculous lies start to fall apart and young women realize, yeah, that's ridiculous. I don't believe that. Nobody believes that. If you have a brain cell, nobody believes that. When every single one of those things falls apart, what's the most outrageous, most fear-inducing, most terrifying thing that you can tell women? If you get pregnant, you are going to literally die. I don't know who needs to hear this today. That is fear-mongering propaganda that is designed to ruin your life. The only people who hate women are the ones telling you that. And I don't know how else to more plainly, clearly say that. And if you're a young man watching today's episode, you need to be aware of this too. This type of lie is impacting your sisters, your cousins, your neighbors, your classmates, your girlfriends, your future wives. And it has got to stop now. I have never really shared the ins and outs of my childbirth story. I mean, we talked about it a little bit on social media, and I still do want to keep the vast majority of it to myself because I think it's a beautiful family experience and not every single thing needs to be shared on the internet. I sometimes have a tendency to overshare on the internet, and some things I'm learning need to be kept in the sacred privacy of my family. But to just give you a little bit of a picture of what this looked like, my pregnancy was absolutely incredible. I never once was afraid while being pregnant. I had no underlying anxiety or fear about my daughter and how she was doing. I know a lot of moms do, but I want to normalize the fact that that's not always the case. We love to normalize everything, so let's normalize the fact that pregnancy is really beautiful. Despite how hard it is, despite how exhausted you are, despite all of the challenges that come with sharing your body with another human being, I never felt more comfortable in my own skin than when I was pregnant. Ever. I felt more beautiful every single time I looked in the mirror. I didn't judge my body once when I was pregnant. I have a lot since I gave birth, and I'm trying to figure out what's next, although I'm very grateful for my squishy tummy that grew my beautiful daughter. But when I looked in the mirror when I was pregnant, it was like, wow, I am a goddess. I am amazing. This is so incredible. Thank you, God, for the invitation to create life with you. Every moment of pregnancy got better and better and better and better than the last. And the day that I had my daughter, the day that I underwent the dangerous, life-threatening, clearly going to end in death experience of childbirth, that day was the best singular day of my life. Was it painful? Yes. Did it hurt? Yes. Was it challenging? Yes. But that made it so much more beautiful because I've never felt closer to God than experiencing the challenge and the suffering and the heart stretching of that moment ever. It was like women describe childbirth often as watching the veil between heaven and earth get a whole lot thinner. And it felt like that. It felt like that in that hospital room. It felt like that when I met my daughter. It felt like that when I looked in my husband's eyes the moment that they placed our baby girl on my chest. It was the best day of my life. And I will never be the person that I was before. Ever. I am a completely different person since having my daughter. I have different priorities. I have different perspectives on the world. In many ways, I have a different personality because the depth that this experience has brought to my life is unmatched by anything else I have ever experienced. I would never, ever go back to choose a voluntary, selfish woman lifestyle. I would never buy into the lies that childbirth is so dangerous and I should have so much anxiety about it that I would avoid it at all costs. It was awe-inspiring and humbling and beautiful to see my life change so dramatically. So I don't know who needs to hear this today, particularly young women watching this episode today. But the people desperately screaming at you to not have children, to go out of their way to convince you that this is going to destroy your life, while ironically, they try to tell you that we're the ones pushing pro-child propaganda, we're the ones screaming at you to have kids. Those people don't care about you. They do not want the best for you. They are not interested in making your life better. They are interested in dragging you down to the pit of hell and misery that they live in, because misery loves company. And they're uncomfortable with the fact that people are finding joy and purpose and meaning in their lives by creating more people and by falling in love with our best friends and committing to that, working at it every single day. Your life should not just be about you. What a sad, shallow, disgusting way to spend the very limited time that we have on this earth, hopefully giving back to something. You are worthy of so much more. And when you hear a Charlie Kirk or a me or an Allie Beth Stuckey or a Matt Walsh or a Michael Knowles or a Matt Fradd or whoever constantly tell you getting married and having children is the best thing that ever happened to us, you should do it. It's not out of a place of propaganda like you see on these ridiculous British Vogue headlines or a Call Her Daddy episode. We're telling you this out of genuine satisfaction, purpose, and love for you. We want more for you than what broken culture has to offer. So stop. I beg of you. Stop buying into the fear-mongering and open your heart and your life up to something that is so much bigger. It is worth it. I promise you. Back to the show in just a second, but first, in case you guys haven't heard, I created my very own collection of American-made beeswax blend candles with the Candle Club. They are toxin-free, made with 100% cotton wicks. These candles are not just beautiful and clean burning, they smell amazing. I picked the scents all myself, and right now, when you get the bundle of all 4 of them that each have different art from our studio that you might see behind me in our episodes, you get all 4 for a very special price. So now is the perfect time to get ahead on all of your Christmas shopping. Go to thecandleclub.com/Isabel to shop the collection today. That is thecandleclub.com/Isabel. Switching gears a bit, we have a very special guest for our last few minutes today on the show, our friend from the Daily Wire, Andrew Klavan, who is joining us to talk about his brand new, very exciting book that I think is hiding. Oh, it will be hiding. We'll put it up here right behind me here on the set. Drum roll, please, from my amazing producer. After that, The Dark, the latest amazing fiction novel from our friend Andrew Klavan. Please welcome him in joining us on the show. Andrew Klavan joins us today on the Isabel Brown Show to talk about your new book, After That, The Dark. Drew, thank you so much for joining us. And I want to just give you the floor to tell us a little bit about your latest incredible novel that everyone needs to pick up a copy of.
They do. It's actually, I think it's a federal law at this point. You have to go out and buy After That, The Dark. It's a story that begins as a locked room. It begins as a love story. The hero, Cameron Winters, finally worked up the courage to call this girl he's absolutely fascinated with, and they go out on a date, and she knows that he's a guy who likes to solve impossible murders. And so she tells him a story she knows about a locked room, a guy who's killed in a closed cell where no one can get in or out. And somehow he's been murdered there. And Cameron, to impress her, tries to solve it. And he opens up this huge nationwide conspiracy that has him absolutely trapped from every side. And the thing is, Cameron Winters is a guy who used to be an assassin. He's been trying to get away from that life. And now he's back to a point where he really is going to have to start killing people if he's going to survive and if he's going to keep this woman he loves safe. So I'm really happy with this book. It's a love story, it's a mystery story, and it's a thriller. And I think they all kind of click along, and people seem to really be responding to it. So I hope, I'm glad they passed a law saying they have to buy it.
Oh, naturally. The government may be shut down, but lawmakers are focused on what really matters, getting Andrew Klavan's latest book. You know, Drew, I'm really grateful for your attention to creating culture. And I want to pick your brain about this for a few minutes. You are extremely passionate about the fact that people can't just talk about what's going on in the world. We actually have to create something meaningful in the void of arts and culture. And building something beautiful every day. That's what we're focused on here on the show, is that going on offense component of this. So what I love about your books is that there's nothing to do with political commentary or just analyzing everything that's going on in the world. You've created a little world in your stories that people have a chance to fall in love with every day. Why do you think we haven't seen more of that creation component up to this point? And do you think there's sort of a turning point happening with that right now?
Well, it's a great question. It's a question I've been asking myself, and people have been asking me for over 20 years. When I first started talking about this was when I had been an expatriate in England, and I came back and I found a culture that actually couldn't even come together to denounce the philosophy that had caused 9/11, that had caused 3,000 people to be murdered by Islamofascists on 9/11. And instantly, we started to hear news people telling us, "Oh, it's wrong to wear a flag pin. It's wrong to be patriotic. Why we should figure out why these people hate us." And I was thinking they should hate us. They're the bad guys. We're supposed to be the people that the bad guys hate. And we had lost that, not in the ballot box, not because of the people getting elected. We lost it at the movies. We lost it in the culture and the ideas that kind of permeate our minds without our even knowing it's happening, especially the minds of the young who don't know any better a lot of times because they're being schooled in ignorance. And so I began talking about this, as I said, at least 20 years ago. And the only people who would listen to me were the conservatives, because they were the only people who cared about the country and its future. But they looked at me then, Isabel, like I was just nuts. I mean, they thought it was cool because I was working in Hollywood, and they thought that's cool. But they had no idea what I was talking about. And there was a congressional race in Ohio, damn it, that had to be won. And those are the things they were focused on. That's changed. There's no question that rock has been pushed a little bit uphill, not just by me, but by a lot of people, focusing on the fact that we're just awash in this America-hating, freedom-hating, culture, and a culture that hates the places that we came from, as well as the places that we are and the places that we should be going to. And so, look, I've been working in the arts my whole life, and I've been a writer and a screenwriter, all my life. That's what I've done, and it has cost me to take this position. I mean, I was doing really well in Hollywood for a couple of years. And when I started talking about this, my career switched off like a light bulb, it just went totally off. But I thought, this is why you use language. This is why you paint pictures. This is why you make music, to bring out, even through ugliness, the things that make us beautiful, the things that make us human. And one of those things, I think one of the most important things, is freedom, and the freedom to choose who we are and to live without a boot on our neck and a gag on our mouths. And all of this stuff, I think, we have actually won one side of this fight. We've actually defeated the people who had a stranglehold on the culture. There's new culture coming along. There's news media that can answer back to the mainstream news media. All of this stuff, we have scored the victory, and it's because of the Daily Wire. It's because of Megyn Kelly and Joe Rogan, the new media, all this stuff. But we haven't started to now fill the gap with creation, and partly that is a conservative problem. Conservatives are not, by definition, they're not revolutionaries, and artists are. Artists always want to know, what's the newest thing? What's something no one's ever seen before? What is something that's original and clear that just comes out of me? It's kind of, art is sort of based on what women do when they create children. It's sort of based on that. It's kind of a version of that, which is you create something utterly new, not because you're the most original mind in the world, but because it comes out of you. It's part of you, and it's connected to you. And that's the same. Art works in exactly the same way. And conservatives are a little nervous about that. They like systems, they like rules, they like things that that people follow. And guys like me, as you can almost tell by the way people react to me in media, are like, we're a little nuts. We're a little out there. We're thinking like, gee, here's a new thing. But I do believe those voices are out there. I do believe the new technology is going to give them strength, and I do believe that people are going to start creating new things that speak into this incredible, unique culture that has come out it's been in creation from thousands of years. It comes from Athens. It comes from Jerusalem. It comes through Europe. It comes to us. We've got the candle now, and we just have to keep it burning. And I think we will. I just think it's going to take time because we've been blacklisted. We've been insulted. We've been attacked, and we're still being canceled. And it takes a little bit of guts and a little bit of firepower, inside, the internal firepower to get the job done. It'll happen, but it's frustratingly slow,
Yeah, it's a slow process for sure, but I'm already starting to see this renaissance of creation from not just the political right, but just in general, people who are in search of what is good and true and beautiful all over Hollywood, in the literary world, obviously, with the contributions you're making. I mean, look at the success of shows like The Chosen and religious-based movies right now selling out movie theaters every few months. There's such a hunger for timeless values and these timeless cultural pillars that we have built the West upon. So I have a lot of hope for that. We did an episode of my show last week reacting to a Free Press article that was trying to twist and turn the Harry Potter series into whatever political motive this particular writer, who's also a Harvard history professor of Black queer studies, literally can't make this stuff up, but basically trying to say Donald Trump is Voldemort and ICE are basically Death Eaters and we're living in this horrifying evil society, when obviously that they totally missed the mark on what Harry Potter was supposed to be all about, in warning about evil and actual authoritarianism and all of these things. If you could give us an insight into your literary works as to what the overall take-home message or maybe warning for society is when people read between the lines, what would you say?
Well, I think that art really always charts the human spirit in time. And what I mean by that is it's where the human spirit is in relationship to God or not in relationship to God. Harry Potter is a great example. I mean, in fact, a very beautiful pro-Western culture and actually pro-Christian work. And Christians rejected it because it had magic in it. Magic is not a Christian thing. But it's a story. It's a story. Lord of the Rings has magic in it too. And it's a story. And all these things are just representing things. I write in the crime genre. The crime genre has become a little bit of a science fiction genre for me because technology is affecting our lives so quickly. So what I'm trying to capture is the culture of the moment. Cameron Winter is a guy who did things that are irredeemable, and bad, who's trying to become a good person using the skills that he has, which are, a sort of way of looking into mysteries, but also he's a tough guy. He's a guy who can hurt people if he has to hurt people. How does that go from being doing things that may be off the charts on one side to becoming a good man? How do you go from being an anti-hero to being a hero? And the reason that came up to me is because I would notice that every guy that a man could look at and think, oh yeah, there's a man on TV and really in novels, was a bad guy. So you had TV shows. Our last great moment of art, which was the 2000s golden age of television, you had The Sopranos, you had Breaking Bad, a drug dealer. You had The Wire and The Shield with corrupt cops in it. Even Justified, where that guy was on the right side, but he was a very troubled guy who would, look for excuses to kill people. All of these guys were anti-heroes. And I knew about this because I'd been writing that 10 years before, which is kind of the curse of my life, that I sort of see things a little bit early. And so I thought, well, okay, now you've got a situation where masculinity is outlawed, so only outlaws can be masculine. How do you now take what those traits are? What makes Tony Soprano an evil person? What makes him admirable? And how do you then use the admirable parts to the good instead of evil? And so that's the question Cameron Winter is asking himself. And I put him in the openings of the book. He's in therapy because Tony Soprano was in therapy. I'm just saying, is there another way out of this situation than the way that The Sopranos goes? And so that's the kind of questions that are up for him. And now that he's got a woman in his life, finally, who he really admires and respects, and it's kind of funny because he's a total agnostic. He has no beliefs in anything. And she is an absolutely devout evangelical. So there's this kind of tension between them, even though he's just absolutely stricken with her. He just loves her the minute he sets eyes on her. And so it's this tension in his life and where he's going to go. And the truth is, I don't know where he's going to go. He's a living character now. He's out of my control. And so I actually don't know where the thing is going to end. But I know that these are the questions in the culture and underlying the culture. And these are the questions that he's dealing with because he lives in the culture. And that's essentially what I'm doing. It's not a message book as so much it is as a snapshot, a moving picture of the times, boiled down to the essential questions.
That internal struggle between good and evil that we all face every single day. I love it. I'm so grateful for you and your commitment to creating culture. Andrew Klavan, where can people pick up a copy of your latest book and continue supporting all of your work from the Daily Wire and beyond?
Yeah, if you go to dailywire.com/Klavan, which is Klavan, there are no E's in Klavan. It will then send you anywhere you want to go. You can go to the merch shop at Daily Wire, or you can go to Amazon. It'll send you all the places where the book is sold, and it's available everywhere that they sell books at this point.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, my friend. Can't wait to get dinner with you very soon here in our neck of the woods. And thank you for taking the time out of your very busy day to join us on the show.
Thank you, Isabel. It's great to see you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you guys for sticking around with us this Monday for our whole episode. Don't forget to pick up a copy of Andrew's book. You can go to the link in the description of today's episode to do that. We love you so very much. I've got some exciting episodes planned for the next couple of days because should I give it away? Should I not give it away? Should I give it away? I'll give it away. Tomorrow, I am headed up to New York City for my less than 48-hour rule. You guys know. If you know, you know. Because I am making my CNN debut for Election Day tomorrow. I will be on the live streaming coverage of CNN's election-related content with Ben Shapiro, with Charlemagne the God, and so many others. And I will be on the network with CNN on Wednesday. Pray for my soul, not just in New York, but on CNN. It's going to be great. I'm so excited to give a voice to young conservatives and what's happening in our country, to analyze everything that you need to know about the New York City mayoral election, about New Jersey, about here in Virginia, where I voted over the weekend. Stay tuned. A whole lot more details to come.